Hello and welcome to the Yarnings podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. This is episode 80. I think I'm calling it Self-Love Day. It is February 12th. It is a Friday afternoon. And I am happy you're here with me today. Thank you for joining me. I know that you have plenty of choices out there of podcasts, and I'm so excited that you are choosing to spend some time with me. I love spending time with you, interacting online and Ravelry forums and everywhere. And so I hope that you are having a great day and ready to sit down and relax and watch the podcast. So today it's a Friday afternoon. It's a little drizzly out. It's been on and off raining. I got a little wet when I was out and about. We'll talk a little more about that in a bit. Yeah, I think it's been a little bit warmer of a week, and that's been kind of nice, kind of surprising for a February, but nice. So let's move into some life stories. I wrote my notes for life stories on the other screen and didn't save it, so it's not actually on this little screen I'm looking at. That's okay. So let's see. We have had some toilet replacement woes. You don't want to hear about that. I have had some serious allergy issues. You could probably hear that in my voice. I had a little wheezing action going on, and I think it's a combination of outside allergies because it was so warm. The sun was hitting everything, and things are blooming already that probably shouldn't be. And then indoor allergies. All of the bathroom stuff stirred up dust and whatever else, and I reacted strongly. So that has been quite a issue for me this week. I have spent a lot of extra time resting because of that and some insomnia. So it hasn't been the most productive week. I am working on doing some extra cleaning, trying to eliminate some extra dust, and I'm not sure if that's going to help. I'm looking at what kinds of things I can buy for extra allergy reducing pillowcases and maybe an air purifier. We'll see. I think that last year's allergies hit me really hard, and I don't want to repeat, and it's only February. But if it's inside allergies, that's something that I should be able to control a little better. So all of that babble to say, dealing with allergies. What else? I don't think we even did anything but grocery shop last week. So it's just been a little chill. I think that's all the life stories for you. But yes, I did. I went to Joann's with the rest of my Christmas money. So I have some exciting things to show you in the Stitch Through Time segment. That was an exciting part of my week. Now I remember there was something else in there. All right, so let's move into yarnings and adventures in knitting. The thing that has gotten the most love this week, which was in this basket when it was only at home, and once it went outside, it went into my Valentines kitchen counter crafter bag because I'm calling it Valentines all year. I like Valentine's colors, hearts, all year round. Does not have to be February. This is based on the Christmas in July pattern by Tanis Lovely. It is pretty much the pattern from the top to there, excluding the fact that I changed the way colors were, but it follows the chart to there. But then you see there is a nice row of pink hearts. I don't remember how far I'd gotten last week. I've got extra little color that goes down into the main body color of the pink. And then this is the Empire waistband. That is not in the pattern at all, but for me and my style and my body shape, self-love for the win. I am knitting something that suits my shape, how I am right now, as a good body love, body positivity activity. So I've done this band, which is twisted ribbing, and then twisted ribbing with Fair Isle. I don't know. There's probably a word for that, but I don't know. So you can see the twisted stitch from the ribbing goes down into the Fair Isle, which is just some color work in there. And then I've added increases with more increases at the front center because that's my style. That's my body shape. And now I am working downward. I think I've continued to add some increases in the front here, but now I think I'm into a more even pattern of increases. I am trying to make this tunic length, maybe dress length. I will need to go back and do the sleeves still, but they will be short sleeves, so then I can wear it either with a long sleeve shirt or as a tunic dress. And then at the bottom, like wherever I get, so right now I have just been working on the second of the 3 balls of yarn. I have 1,200 yards of this Holiday Yarns flock sock in the Persephone colorway that I got at Rhinebeck in 2014. The colors, I named them all last week. I won't this week. But it's a variety of single plies, and there's some that is more like this, which is a 3-ply-ish. So it's kind of a combination of fingering weight yarns. So at the bottom of this, I will do another Fair Isle section. There will be hearts in it. I haven't charted out what I want to do yet, but it will probably have something like this going in and out of it, and then a nice wide band to complement that the top has the yoke, and just to be able to play with Fair Isle because I enjoyed knitting that so much. And I am just loving this. This is so awesome. And now it's very zen because stockinette for a long time until I've used close to my 1,200 yards of the pink. So it went on the bus with me today, and I knit on it before lunch, and it worked. I did it in a waiting room earlier this week in the library, and so yeah, I am really enjoying it, and it's such a happy thing. So the theory is maybe I'll have it done in February, maybe I won't, we'll see, but I am making a valiant effort. It's only the 12th. I've still got loads of time in February. I went back and looked, and well, my recap post for 2015 reminded me that I knit a sweater a month for August through the end of the year, and then I knit the boxy in January. So if I do this would be quite a few months in a row where I knit a top of some sort. One of them was a shrug. It wasn't full length, but it was hand spun. So anyhow, that makes me happy that I am being consistent on my sweater knitting because I love being a garment knitter. And if I can wear a hand knit item, at least 2 or 3 of them every time I leave the house, that makes me happy. The other work in progress that hasn't gotten, it may have sat here since the last time I talked to you. These are my Castle socks. I'm making up a pattern, but basically my vanilla sock with a little addition in another Crafty Girl strong sock in the Countryside Castle colorway, which is based on Castles of Burgundy, the board game. Yeah, I think they sat there. I think I have only knit on this, and I finished up a Swiffer cover. I have not woven in the ends yet. I sat here and crocheted the ends down right onto the Swiffer. This is an extra long, extra large, I think is what their nomenclature is, extra large Swiffer. So it's a supersize version of a normal one. So I just sat here and crocheted each of these edges, the four sides together while it was on, so I could stretch it even a little further. And I actually got one side done and decided it wasn't snug enough on the bottom. There was still too much slack. It still probably could have gone a little further, but I'm okay with it now. So I need to weave in those ends and then I can use it. So that is that. And that is all of the works in progress. So it's just the castle socks and the sweater. I would like to get a shawl on the needles, but it will probably be once I get the yarn for the second version of the shawl I'm designing, then I will do that. But I might not cast on another one until that. So that's okay. If we go see Deadpool this weekend, I might cast on another dishcloth or another Swiffer cover, just so I have something to bring with me, or something to do while I'm watching, versus I could bring my sweater for beforehand, and that's fine. But while I'm watching, it would be nice to have like that Swiffer cover. Most of it was done during Star Wars. So I'm thinking about what the next things are. I have some knit-alongs to mention in the knitting community section, but I'm thinking about what my next few projects want to be. That's fun. And what the next things of yarn want to become. Like, I know that I want to be working on the Galactic, another Crafty Girl, during Game Storm, which is a month from now. The gaming convention, and I have friends coming from out of town, and it will be fun. So yeah, considering the next things, considering the next sweaters, considering the next yarn the next hand spun I want to use. I did sit at lunch today and look through my queue, which is awesome. So for spinning a tail, I didn't even bring up my spinning, but I worked some more on my Three Fates. It's been sitting downstairs by the TV, and as we watched things, when I wasn't knitting on my sweater, I was spinning. So I got a little more work done on that. I started a new cop, but I was watching TV, and so I didn't get to film how I start a leader. I will still do that at some point. For Stitch Through Time, I finished up the English paper piecing project I was working on that had new techniques. It had a bunch of stuff that I hadn't thought of. I told you about how much I enjoyed the math for it last week, and that is in the mail. I will post a picture of that when it is received by the person. On my day out on Saturday, I left the house for a while and went to Joann's because I still had some Christmas money. I had bought a self-healing cutting mat set that had rulers, and I bought and it came with a cutting tool. So it's one of these that has a little guard that you can close to protect it. I guess it goes that way. It has a little guard that you close, and it's very sharp. The spot where I cut into my finger was calloused enough that I didn't bleed, but it still stung a little. I didn't get it very deep, but it was sharp. So I had purchased that stuff after Christmas, and I still had money left. Excuse me, these allergies are causing me to have to drink. Let's see if that'll do it. So, I purchased some fabric. So the theory is, I'm going to make a quilt for my couch. My couch in the exercise room. I am going to make... Sorry. Hopefully that'll be the end of it. Alright. I am going to make a log cabin quilt. This is the book. When I was in high school, I checked this book out at the library. It inspired me to make quilts for my sisters. It is a very easy piecing information guide that tells you how you can do a quilt in a day. And so you cut everything into 2.5-inch strips and then piece it together using, what do they call it? You are piecing them together and then cutting them up. And so everything is the same width, and so in theory you can make a quilt in a day. So one time recently when I was at Powell's, I found this as a used book for $3.95. And this is the exact book that I used. So I made 2 quilts for my sisters while they were at camp one year. And it was a really easy way to do it. Do I want every quilt to be a log cabin quilt that I ever make? No, probably not. But for $3.95, I have the instructions that are familiar to me, and I'm going to try it out. I also have Quilt-A-Day log cabin with stars in it that I got at the same time, and I think that that might be what I'll make the next things. But for this one, I am making a twin size coverlet. So it's not a bedspread. I just want it to be a nice small one for on the couch. So I followed the instructions on what I needed quantity-wise for this. And so you pick 6 fabrics, 3 of them being dark, 3 of them being light, and a center. My center is going to be this that actually is a little sparkly. The 3 lights, there's a light pink with little hearts, there's a light lavender with hearts and birds, and this all over crazy white, kind of a creamy white with red hearts on it. This will also be the back of the fabric because it was a Valentine's fabric and it was very, very clearanced. And they had a lot of it. And then the 3 darks will be this bright fuchsia and this plummy vine fabric and a black love, love, love. This is the only one that is going to be really directional. Like it will be, I'll have to be a little more careful with my cuts that I make it even because it does have a line to it where the letters are. Everything else is a little more, I don't know what you call it. I need to learn nomenclature. So yeah, then I have lots of that for the backing. And isn't that pretty? This was the only one that I got that had any glitter to it. I don't know if you can see that the gold is actually gold, but I think that that's going to be a nice touch for the centers. So, and all of this fabric was on sale, one way or another, and I had some coupons, so it was an amazing deal. I am really super excited about this. You guys know I keep saying I love Valentine's colors, and the pinks and reds and purples in there are very me, and it's going to look beautiful on my red couch. Even though there's not a lot of red in it, except for the red scrollies on the background and the one white color, I think it's going to look really cool on my red couch. It's just a red clip-in couch. It's not anything fancy, but yeah. So, big awesome project coming up. I also grabbed, they had just a little bit more on the end of the pink, and then she found the purple that matched, and I think those will be some kind of a project bag or something paper pieced for me. Just little bitty quarter yard pieces. While I was there, Java Jenny had linked to me when she saw this, suggesting this might be a good pattern for me to try, and I saw it on the wall of inexpensive, easy patterns, and so for, I think it was $3.99 minus whatever my coupon was, for a very good deal, I got this pattern to be an inspiration for me. I don't know that I am ready to tackle sewing knits first off, but I really like the idea of this sleeveless one, or doing this, the double bottomed one as a sleeveless one. And I think that would be super cute. It would be very nice for traveling this summer. So this is a not instantly, but I want to do this, and so it's going to go up on my, probably right here, to remind me that it is an inspiration, something I want to do soon. On that front, I also bought a Craftsy class while the Craftsy classes had a sale. I posted on the Yarnings Facebook group. If you like that page, I try and every once in a while I'll post something that I find in the knitting world that I think the Yarnings fans would like. And so I posted a link to the Craftsy sale that was going on last week of the most fan-favorited patterns. I will post a link to the class that I purchased. It's about sewing knit fabrics. So, right up the alley of that pattern, I will watch that class, learn from that class, and then I'll take on this project. That's the theory. I also purchased a set of canvases. I'm going to do probably some geometric-y something for downstairs. And this was a really great value. I had a 50% off coupon, so it was already a great deal. They're the skinnier ones. They're not really thick canvases, but this will be great for what I want to do. Decorations for the living room, the dining room, I don't know where else, but now I have much less of a restriction of, if one doesn't turn out exactly how I like it, I have 10 of them. It's not, and I can paint over them. I have already learned that with the ones that are in my bedroom. I painted over some that someone had given me that the look of them didn't fit, and so I had practiced painting. Let's see. So, Stitch Through Time, that's all the fabulousness. And yeah. Alright. Knitting community. I have been listening to a nice selection of podcasts and watching a nice selection of podcasts lately and getting inspired by knit-alongs that are going to be going on. So I was going to share a few of them that I'm thinking about participating in. The Yarniacs have their Self-Indulgent Cow. I think this would work well for that through March. The Knitmore girls are doing the Eliz-along, which is Elizabeth Doherty patterns. And their knit-alongs are generally ongoing, like the never-ending Bame-along. I have several of Elizabeth Doherty's patterns that I want to knit, and I even have yarn that really wants to become one of them. Probably the Maris with my Marigold Jen Lady Violet yarn. Sassy Pants Knitter has Don't Hoard the Precious, so reminding people to knit with the things that they might have been holding on to for a long time because they aren't sure that they're ready to use it. The shawl, I'm looking at my new pattern back there. The shawl, my sugar plum that I knit on Christmas, had yarn that I had totally been hoarding for a long time. I also have a skein from Sock Summit. The second Sock Summit. Yes, the second Sock Summit. I know exactly where it is because I love it so much. This is Indigo Dragonfly. This is her MCN sock. I believe it was the first MCN that I had ever purchased. And it's an Ara, only the exact phrase I used was don't. From Firefly. Firefly? Yeah, Firefly, not Serenity. And it's luscious. And just the fact that it was my first MCN and it was based on an Ara meant that I really had to find just the perfect thing for it. And so I've just held on to it. So this is one of those preciouses that I would really like to actually knit with. There are others in this bin. This bin has some of my favoritist single skein fingering weight. Because that's what I have purchased more on a whim, I guess. That one wasn't just on a whim. That was just awesome. But there, let's fix my shawl. As I am wearing red and hoarding my red precious. So that's Sassy Pants Knitter, and that is a year-long one. Innisnit, Christy's new solo version of the podcast, is hosting Treat Yourself again. That's through March. That might be this as well. There may be a little bit of double dipping going on here. Knitspiration with Cultivate and Create, which is Sarah's individual podcast. She is doing Knitspiration. Who inspires a certain project you're working on? I don't know what that one will be yet, but I know that I often think of those kind of things when I am knitting something. This one, I don't know. I was inspired because Heather bought me the pattern. Actually Knitting is having a Broadway knit along. I have a friend who really, really loves Broadway. I do not know as much about Broadway plays. I have seen a couple. One on Broadway, I think just one. We saw Miss Saigon when I was in New York. That was after, I think it was 1999. Yeah, it was 1999. And so that, I would have to think a little harder for that one, but maybe it could be a gift for my friend who loves the theater. And then the Zombie Knitpocalypse knit along. The designer showcase list is up, and I'm looking at what yarn I still have from the Yarny Dyers that will be in the marketplace this coming year. And that will be fun to pair up, because in the past I've been able to pair up, for last year at least, I was able to pair up a few different things that were the designer and the yarny people, because I had actually purchased stuff from the people the year before. So I've got a few more. I've definitely got some skeins of vendors' yarn that I am looking forward to doing. So yes, there are so many awesome things. I think I mentioned all of them on my list. And I'm sure that there's more knit-alongs going on out there. Those are just the ones that I've heard mention of recently and made a note that I want to participate. Maybe you have some other great ideas from other podcasts. I would love to hear those. You can put those in the thread on the Ravelry group. So for our next knit along, as I was writing up my list of knit alongs that I'd like to participate in, I realized this is not news to you. I realized that it's very easy for me to tell stories about my projects. That is one of the reasons that the name Yarnings stuck so well. If you didn't know, my niece named the podcast when she was very little. I think she was 3 or 4, and she came up to me knitting at a family gathering, which wasn't unusual. She says, "What are you yarning, Aunt Christine?" And so then that word evolved into, I thought it was a great word for describing the I lost my train of thought. A great way of talking about how I describe my knits. Every knit has a story for me. I bet your knits have stories too. So out of projects that you have finished that you have worked on this year and you will finish by the end of March, I want to hear a project that has a story. I want you to tell me a story. I want you to put me into the reason you paired a pattern and yarn together. I want you to tell me a story about what you worked on while you were knitting that project. I know that it was a couple of us during the board game session at Zombie Apocalypse last year, where we talked about how picking up my knitting sometimes after I have worked on it during something else, like something I'm watching, something I'm playing, something I'm listening to, I'm immediately brought back to that moment. I can pick up a couple of specific projects and remember what movie I had watched and knit a very challenging portion of the project, or something that I had to think hard on while I was watching. And so that movie comes to mind when I pick it up. I bet you have some awesome stories like that. So tell me a story about a project that you are knitting. I would love this project to be at least 100 grams of yarn. So it's more than just a passing, I knit a dishcloth. I'd love it to be a little more detail than just, here's the yarn, here's the pattern. I'd love to hear an actual story. You are welcome to embellish it, but I'd love it to have a grain of truth. So that is our knit along. I think we'll hashtag it yarning a tale. And that will be fun. So through the end of March, you have until March 31st to post your stuff. I will have a chatter thread and a finished objects thread up in the Yarnings group on Ravelry, and I cannot wait to hear your yarnings about what you're knitting on. And this actually would work just fine for spinning. If you want to spin a tale, if you want to tell us about something that you are spinning that is at least 100 grams of epicness, that would also be fine. I will probably refer to it as a knitting project while I'm talking about it on the podcast, and you can substitute those words and know that that is also acceptable. And if you want to spin something and knit it, that's always acceptable. Okay, so that'll be going on, and I'm excited. Let's move in to Sagas of Geekery. Now playing, I have not played anything. These allergies have been kicking my butt, and I have not had enough extra brain space all week to devote to anything. Now watching. I've been watching Alias. I am nearly done with season 4. And then I've watched podcasts. I'm trying to catch up on some podcasts. And then with my husband, I've watched Agent Carter. Castle came back. We watched that last night. And we watched the first 2 episodes of X-Files. So I think there are 2 more on the TiVo. I watched a disaster movie with Michael Vartan of Alias and Terry O'Quinn, and that was disasterific. It was a pretty good one. The way disaster movies go, it was a pretty good one. I don't remember the exact name of it. It was something... I don't remember. I will have to put that in the show notes. For Sagas of Geekery Now reading, we are still listening to Armada by Ernest Cline. Great book. For Fanciful Chatter, I opened a Perfectly Posh party. I talked about this last week, but the site was not up yet for me to set this party up. So there is a yarnings party. I will link to that in the show notes and in the Ravelry group. The party is open through next Tuesday, I think the 16th. So you have through the weekend and a little more to get your order in on the party. This is for the launch of the new Perfectly Posh items. There are some really cool new things. There are a couple face masks that are really cool, and there's some lovely new scents for the spring and summer. Stuff that is nice and fruity. The lemon berry stuff that I like came back. There's some beautiful strawberry stuff, and these are the kind of things that I like my soaps to smell like. I like food scents in general, and more than like flowery or musky smells. And so these are totally me. If you place an order through the end of this party, so through the 16th, I'm looking up at my calendar, through the 16th, and post in the thread, I will be drawing for a prize, a Perfectly Posh prize of some sort. I may get your input on what that might be, or it might be just one of my favorite things, and I will ship that and maybe some yarny bonus in the mail to you after the party is closed, once I get my order, because I haven't gotten my order submitted yet either. I have a lot of things in my shopping cart that I need to narrow down. I am wearing, this charm is a creation by Uli. I have stitch markers by her from Knitter's Nook. And then I stuck my fancy red dress stitch marker on there as a charm, which is from Knit Cubby. And I think that made a really nice addition to my pomegranate LuLaRoe shirt. This is a nice long, I think it's an Irma, and I'm wearing my Cladonia on top of it. This is one of my favoritist shawls that has beads, and I'm pretty sure I've worn this on the show, but since this is what I actually wore today, and it worked really nice with my lips. My eyes are quite fancy as well. And I just got back from getting a haircut, and I'm so much happier. It's all short underneath. So much happier. I feel sleek and sassy again. So, and it always feels really nice and pampering. That would be the fun, fanciful chatter. For Book of Cooking, I made fried chicken soup, one of my very favorite soups to cook. It's a cream of celery soup that when you do the celery, you fry it up with sweet curry powder. Delicious. And then you add little bits of chicken strips or chicken patties as the garnish on top, and frozen peas. It's delicious. We did a heart-shaped pizza last night because I always do that for Valentine's Day. And since Valentine's Day is on a Sunday this year, And President's Day is Monday and my husband has it off. This was the closest weekday to be able to do it. Tonight he's going out playing games. Tuesday is a date night. So yeah, it was the right time to do it last night. So I always make a pizza crust, shape it as a heart, and then half of it is his with his toppings and half of it is mine. We also did spaghetti and meatballs, just an easy meal on a day that my allergies were killing me. And we get the vegetarian meatballs from Trader Joe's and one of their sauces. And that is always super delicious. And I think the happiness continues. My day out and about was great. And I kind of framed it for myself as a day of self-love. People talk a lot about Valentine's Day being a time for couples, but it's just as important to take time for yourself and to do things to care for yourself. So for me today, that was getting a long overdue haircut. That was taking myself to lunch at the cafe that's near the haircutting place that is just, it's very cute. It's so novel for me to go in there by myself, to get to go to a restaurant by myself. And I surfed on my phone a little bit, and I knit, and I enjoyed my dinner, my lunch. They have an amazing special chicken salad. And so a salad and a half a sandwich and a dirty chai and a cookie to go. My cookie's sitting over there. And that was really nice. And then I dropped off some packages at the post office, which is a little further north. And the buses are in process of getting a new track put in. They're going to, well, not really a track, but they're going to have these fancy longer buses for the main route that we go on. And so a lot of the stops are being changed a little bit or whatever, and so there's whole sections that they've relocated. And so the one that was closest was closed, and the next one was closed, and I don't normally go north on this route. I normally am going south, and then my husband picks me up. We go to date night on Tuesdays, but I don't normally go north. So I had to walk a little farther and got my step goal in, and I managed to be right near the comic book store. And I stood there thinking, oh, I don't really need to go in the comic book store. I don't know that I need anything to buy. It would be fun to go in and look, but then I might feel obligated to buy. But I decided I'm going to go in. This is fun. This is something that makes me me. I am geeky. And so I went into the comic book store. I talked with a very nice lady, and they're expanding. They have a whole nother section being added. I talked with a very nice lady, and she showed me some great comics. And what I ended up coming away with is Serenity. I have the first volume. This is the second volume in hardback. And so I'm going to add to my collection. There are 4 altogether. And I am so surprised that I have not done this yet. I am very much looking forward to this. One of the authors is actually Patton Oswalt. And obviously Whedon's and all that. And I love this cover. Isn't that pretty of the girls? Part of my Kaylee Anara love realized. So for my day out, my version of self-love, my opportunity to get dressed up fancy, be geeky, just feel good about me, that brings me into the spirit of Valentine's Day in a much happier frame of mind, because if I like me, I can like my relationship as well. Even more, maybe. So make sure that you are taking time for self-love as well today. I hope this comes to you. before you have celebrated Valentine's Day, but if not, take some self-love, take a mental health day, do something for you. Okay, let's close for today. We have 45 minutes going on here, so I guess we got a little long. That's all good. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me. I have lots to show you, and I'm really excited about all of the yarny goodness that is coming up. So let's see. You can interact with me on the internet. I am Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am Katie LB, just the letters, on Instagram. You can find the Yarnings podcast group on Ravelry, and the show notes with links to everything that I talked about are on yarningspodcast.com, all squished together. Okay, so until next time, that's the story. Bye, you guys.